G'day. 25 bizarre facts about F1, starting with F1 drivers sometimes take their own food to restaurants. Given drivers have strict diets to adhere to, particularly over race weekends, I often see their trainers walking into high-end restaurants close to the track with an already plated up meal for their driver from the team's caterers. And towards the end of this video, I'll run through which driver I've seen most often receive their meals like this. The podium champagne is not cold. Minutes before the end of every F1 race, 4 Jeroboams of Moet and Chandon champagne are opened and placed on the podium for the top 3 drivers, along with one for a representative from the winning team. But these aren't chilled. They're served at podium temperature, ideal for being doused in, not great for drinking. And just quickly, can you check you're subscribed? About 50% of you aren't, and I don't want you to miss out on future content. F1 cars could theoretically drive upside down. The downforce from an F1 car at high speed is strong enough to allow them to drive upside down. Has it ever been tested? No, you'd have to build a corkscrew section of track with a long run up and a large diameter that would end up affecting ground clearance and hence downforce. Interestingly, McMurtry Automotive proved that their Spieling model, which has a fan system, was able to suck to the floor on this specially built rotating rig. That's impressive. Oh, and there are 2 other things. The engine and the fuel system aren't designed to be run upside down, so they'd have to be modified. Did you know that F1 cars have around 80,000 different parts? Teammates can't talk to each other once the race starts. They can communicate with each other through their race engineers if they wish. There are 2 checkered flags waved at the end of each race. One is waved by the official starter from the raised finish line box, while a second one, complete with the names of people who paid to be on it, is waved by a guest or a celebrity from the pit wall. In recent years, it used to be that only one flag was waved from that finish line box by a celebrity or guest. However, some lackluster efforts from those invited wavers saw that idea given the flick. Drivers can lose up to 4 kilograms or 9 pounds of weight during a race. Due to extreme heat and G-forces, drivers can lose a shocking amount of body weight through sweat during a single race. Singapore and Qatar are 2 of the most infamous races for weight loss and dehydration. You might remember at the 2022 Qatar GP, Lance Stroll required assistance to get out of his car, while Logan Sargent had to pull out of the race after 40 laps for fear of blacking out. F1's tyre provider Pirelli brings some 1,600 tyres to each race. Drivers urinate in their race suits, not just anywhere, in the car and only when it's unavoidable. Given that there are no bathroom breaks during an F1 race, if nature calls, drivers will relieve themselves while driving, but they'll normally tell their crew so there are no surprises post-race. The steering wheel on an F1 car can cost between $50,000 and $100,000. It's not just a wheel though. It's a mini computer with around 25 buttons and switches, which must be changed while a driver is travelling at speeds of more than 300 kilometres an hour. Each team's steering wheels are different in shape and design, and if drivers on a team don't like certain switches or dials being used for specific functions, they can assign different functions to them. Drivers use a variety of methods to correctly position themselves on the grid. An F1 driver is sat so low in the cockpit, it's tricky to know when their car is correctly positioned in the starting box on the grid. Lando Norris has a mechanic place a piece of gaffer tape on the pit straight wall so he can line it up with his mirror. Lewis Hamilton has his race engineer place a mark on the yellow strip on the track that aligns with his mirror. This ensures the car is in the perfect position for the start. Pit stops can take less than 2 seconds. When F1 started in 1950, pit stops took more than a minute. At the time of recording this video, the record was held by McLaren, set in Qatar 2022, with one of Lando Norris's stops 1.83 seconds. It was timed using a sensor set into the tarmac under the car. But these days, the teams tell me they use a camera situated above the car to measure that. Of course, in 1950, they didn't have tyre guns. They had just a handful of crew working on a pit stop, and they had to refuel the cars, something that F1 no longer does. Did you know that all F1 drivers have to attend a driver's briefing, which is held 90 minutes after FP2, except for the 6 sprint race events, when the driver's briefing is held online after sprint qualifying. This is run by the FIA. Air freight costs around $400 a kilogram per season. For many of the F1 races, teams have to send their gear via air with DHL. The annual cost in 2025 to send a kilogram of air freight to all of the flyaway races works out at around $400 a kilo, and each team will typically transport 35 tonnes, so it works out at around $14 million per team per year. Pirelli tyres are deliberately made to degrade. The company designs tyres that wear out quickly to spice up race strategy and force pit stops. F1 drivers enjoy power steering. F1 cars made the switch to power steering in the 1990s, but before that, driving them was a serious workout, one which every F2 and F3 driver undergoes, as those cars don't have power steering at present. F1 cars are weighed after the race without their driver. To ensure teams meet minimum weight requirements, they weigh the cars separately after each race. This is done in the FIA garage, and once a car's been cleared, the teams retrieve it and wheel them back down pit lane to their garages. Teams are allowed only 4 engines per car without incurring penalties. F1 cars are not refueled during the race. Since 2010, in-race refueling has been banned for safety reasons and to level strategy. Every F1 car has a kill switch. In case of a crash, safety personnel can shut off the electrical system instantly from the outside by simply pulling this cord. At some flyaway races, F1 drivers are still up at 3 and 4 a.m. One example is the Singapore GP. It's a night race, and most, if not all, drivers stay on European time despite being in Asia, meaning they don't go to bed until 3 or 4 a.m, but of course they wake later. The Monaco GP has the slowest average speed. Even though it's the most prestigious race on the calendar, it's the slowest in terms of average speed due to tight corners and no runoff areas. It's also the shortest track, which is a bonus for fans, as the cars pass you 78 times, unlike the longest track, Spa, where you only get to see the cars 44 times during the race. Unlike IndyCar, NASCAR and many other motorsport categories, F1 does not have a resident chaplain or pastor at races to provide pastoral care to those working in the sport. Now, I've raced in several Targa races here in Australia, and we had one, but road rallies are far more dangerous than F1, and most entering a tarmac rally are amateurs. And finally, over the last 30 years, there's only been one driver aged in their 40s who's managed to win an F1 race. Do you know who that was? This man, Nigel Mansell, who won the 1994 Australian Grand Prix at the age of 41. Now, I should say that's feature race, because Lewis Hamilton did in fact win a sprint race in China, aged 40 earlier this year. But that's a shorter race and not quite as prestigious. And I should say that the trainer I see most often carrying a meal for their driver is Aleix Casanovas, who is George Russell's trainer. Thanks for sticking through to the end. If you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button. And for those of you unsubscribed, please hit that button. Love to have you on board. And for a whole lot of extra content on social media, along with merchandise and stuff, this is where you need to look. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate.